have so much pain in you. You. So much rage. That you can't contain it.
On Hawkeye, I went from a small supporting role, and then on Echo, I became number one on the call sheet. So that meant, of course, more work hours. So that was a big difference. And just like you mentioned, having Indigenous cast and crew, they were amazing to work with, because when you're with Indigenous people, it felt like home, because gosh, you just feel the vibes and they understand each other. You know, the inside jokes between the Indigenous people, you know, it's a little, our community has our own little jokes and whatnot. So we joke around with the Indigenous cast, and I feel like when we're together, it feels like our ancestors are there with us as well, spiritually as well, because they're so proud of us. We're involved in something so big, and it's a very nice feeling. There's a few deaf people also that was working on set. I had a TV mom, Taloa. Her name is Katarina in real life. She is an amazing actress. And there was a few deaf people behind the camera as well. So it was nice to have deaf and Indigenous, just like myself, represented while I was working. We all saw so much diversity on set, and it was great. So that was a big difference compared to Hawkeye. On Hawkeye, I was the only deaf person, and might have been the only Indigenous as well, but you know, almost all of the cast was Indigenous on Echo, so it really just felt so great. Me and Kingpin, Vincent, did rehearsals together. We would go over lines in the scene together. We had a few script run-throughs as well. And he, of course, doesn't sign to Maya's character, so that was a little bit difficult to figure that part out. But we did develop a relationship by reading the script, practicing the lines, and doing rehearsals. And we just were able to show our work on the screen. And I think it worked out pretty well. When I found out that, I, of course, being an amputee myself, but Maya in the comics does not have an amputated amenity, I thought it was great that they were accommodating to me, and how the MCU still wanted to work with me, even though I have this identifying feature. I remember sitting in the office with Sid, and we were developing Maya, and I thought it was great how it was a little bit different than the cartoon. Maya is originally from the Cheyenne Nation, but in the show, we represent her from the Choctaw Nation. So it's a little bit different from the comic book, of course, but I'm really happy that we have that difference, because we were able to show the authenticity of that nation. It's a big step in the right direction for the amputee and the deaf community and the Indigenous community as well. I have so many communities to represent for. Yeah. So we had discussions going on all the time between the directors, and I'm very happy that everything worked out, especially working with all the other women actors. I think it would be freaking awesome to be able to work with Daredevil in the future. I hope that does happen eventually. You know, working with Charlie Cox on Echo, we were able to work with each other for a few days on set, and he's so nice. I actually just saw him at AwesomeCon in Washington, D.C., and we had a photo session together with the fans coming in, and that was really nice to have that duo session. You know, so I told him, hey, tell your people on your show I want to be on that show, so hopefully good things will happen. Yes, I have a lot of communities to advocate for, but on social media, I see so many people like DMing me, especially from the deaf communities, just saying how proud they are to see deaf people represented on the screen and using American Sign Language. There's some films where the deaf people aren't using as much sign language. But on Echo, almost the whole show was in American Sign Language, and the hearing cast members had to use sign language. It was just amazing to see that on the screen for the deaf community. I'm getting such great responses for that. And the Indigenous community, of course, is so proud of me. They're so happy to have authentic representation on the screen. You know, we didn't get to see this growing up, but now we are able to finally see this. And we're finally feels like we're getting somewhere. And the amputee community as well. I see so many people from the amputee community saying, wow, I've never seen this on the screen before. We have an amputee superhero. So I've gotten such great response from the community, and it really just feels so heartwarming. And I am happy I have this platform to be able to uplift their voices and our voices and show these authentic stories from their perspective and from each community. It feels so great.